All right. Hey, what's up? It's your girl Nique, and you're tuned in to Nique at Night. And tonight we're going to be getting into the Karmelo Anthony case. I've been telling you guys I'm out here in Texas and I'm covering the trial. I'm going to be giving you guys all of the up-to-date, by the minute updates on the trial as I can get them to you from reporting inside the courtroom. Now, today was the first day of the trial, which was the start of jury selection, and there was a lot of things going on. But before we got to jury selection and before these proceedings have went underway, there has been a lot to lead up to it. Now, if you guys don't know who I'm talking about Karmelo Anthony. He was a student at a school where an incident happened, and we're going to get all into the nitty and gritty. But because I want to give some of you guys some time to come on in and let the people who don't know about me a little bit, I'm going to play my intro and then we're going to be back in 3 minutes. So go grab your snacks, grab your popcorn, grab whatever you need to grab. And then we're going to get into this case. We're going to talk about behind the scenes stuff. We're going to talk about the information that I know about the case so far and so on and so forth. So grab your snacks and I'll be right back.
We are out here in Beverly Hills with Raz B. I haven't seen you on the scene in a minute, so let the people know what you've been up to. Hey, what's up? I got Amara LaNegra here with me tonight at the A Toast to Young Hollywood event. Hey guys, so I have the beautiful Layla Ali with me tonight. So I just want to first start off by saying your Instagram is an inspiration to go on a path to eat healthy, and you know, it is your 50th birthday. You don't look a day over 25.
You know what?
Let us
wait a
know
minute.
how you do it.
First, everybody always say that. I think that's so cliche, and people know you don't look 25. Now, if you would have said maybe 40.
Hey, what's up? You're watching Nique at Night, and we have Keith Powers with us tonight.
Hey, how you doing?
You know, a lot of girls was like putting you as their, man crush, and you was their, aspiration to take you off the market. And when you came out with Bay, you crushed a lot of people. Like, hey guys, so I have Daniel Cormier with me tonight, and it's crazy because my first UFC fight happened to be your fight.
I'm glad you were able to watch the first fight and it was mine and I won, because that could be some bad memories.
Right. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna lie. When I first seen it and I seen him
I
come,
was gonna get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I'm not gonna tell a lie. Okay, I'm gonna keep it honest. Definitely experience, you guys. That's Amarion, and we're at his word for word screening. It was super dope. Make sure you check it out. It drops tomorrow, and you don't want to miss it.
Thank you, baby.
Thank you.
It's your partner, Big Boy. What's happening in the voice of Los Angeles? Hello. You know what I do at night? I watch Nique at Night. Show you right. You thought I was gonna say something crazy. Thought I was gonna say something disgusting and nasty. Yeah. But guess what? When I watch that Nique at Night, I may be doing something disgusting and nasty. Look at her. Hello.
All right, so we can stop the intro there. We are a minute early and we're going to get on into some things. We're going to get on into this gig. So if you guys do not know, like I said, we're going to be talking about Karmelo Anthony and the trial and everything of the things. But before I give you guys some of the background scoop and some of the information, let's just break down how this trial came about, what is going on, what happened, what is alleged, and so on and so forth. So first off, at the time that this happened, he was 17 years old and he was at a school track meet. Now, he is 19 years old now, and the victim in the case, Austin Metcalf, was 17 years old as well. So it says, the following. Okay, hold on. Let me see some of these notes that I jotted down. All right. So this case, if you guys remember, and what I want to continue to emphasize as I do my coverage is there is a lot of racial tension surrounding this case. You see a lot of racists being extremely racist, and it is showing with this case. This case turned from a tragedy to something that has been creating a racial divide. There are influencers and bloggers on Facebook that are further trying to create this divide. They're trying to rage bait. They're trying to, send out lynch mobs and skewing facts and truth and skewing the information crazy. Okay. Like even today, I saw reports that were completely fabricated and far from what actually happened. And that is what happens in these cases when some people are motivated by, those racist dollars clock in. As you guys see, when Chud the Builder did his whole thing where he was antagonizing Black people, and then he went around and effed around and ended up shooting a guy and shooting himself. They poured in the dough, okay? A lot of them poured in the dough. His crowdfunding rose up. So there's also individuals who are covering this trial with the same similar motivation, skew the truth, make everything seem like the most bizarre as it pertains to Black people so that those dollars can come in. And so therefore you have people like me who I'm not here on either side. I'm just here to report the facts and report them factually as they happen. If there was something that happened that was a positive for Carmelo, I'm going to say it. If there was something that doesn't look good for him, I'm going to say it. As you guys know, there has not been a lot of information released about this case. There was an initial police report that we can go off of, but early on into the case, the judge issued a gag order. He issued a very strict gag order to where Carmelo's family is not supposed to be making statements. The Metcalf family is not supposed to be making statements. The lawyers or anybody that is a witness of the case or involved are under a very strict gag order to where they cannot speak out. They cannot make interviews. They cannot talk about the case. So there are people who are trying to create what they presume to be the truth. And it's disgusting. So we're going to stick to the facts and that alone. So let's get into some of the background for those of you guys who don't even know who Carmelo is, if you never heard of the case, if you don't know anything about it. So according to the police report of the case, a dispute breaks out over the seating arrangements under the tent. So basically what happened was there was a storm. And there was a storm at this track meet. It was around 10 a.m. at the David Q. Kendall Stadium in Frisco, Texas. It's the District 11 Track and Field Championship. It was a massive event, but the weather took a turn and it was heavy rain and thunderstorms. And they had like these tents set up where people can sit under the tents. So because of the storm, athletes were packing under whatever shelter they can find. And Carmelo Anthony, a standout student athlete and a team captain from Centennial High School, he ended up under another team's tent. But it wasn't his team's tent. It belonged to the Frisco Memorial High School tent. So inside that tent was Austin Metcalf, who was a junior and MVP linebacker for Memorial, along with his twin brother, Hunter. So according to the police report, it says a dispute broke out over the seating arrangements under the tent. Hunter Metcalf tells Anthony that he needs to leave their team's area. Austin steps in and a confrontation goes from 0 to 100 real quick. So it says witnesses say it was a rapid back and forth verbal argument. Per the affidavit, it says Anthony allegedly says, "Touch me and see what happens," while reaching his hand into his backpack. So clearly at this point, it's a storm happening. Okay. So it's not like he's just under a tent just because he wants to be under somebody's tent. There's a storm happening. It's raining. It's pouring outside. And Carmelo Anthony goes under a tent like, okay, I see a tent. Let me get some shelter. And according to the police report, the twin brothers of the other one was like giving the "boy, you gonna get up out of here" rhetoric. And he basically was, standing his ground, and they got into an argument. So from that argument, things continued to escalate and go further. So it says, one of the witnesses say it was, like I said, a rapid, back and forth verbal argument. And that's when he said, touch me to see what happens, while reaching in his backpack. Austin pushes Anthony on the bleachers. Anthony responds, punch me and see what happens. Austin pushes him again to get him out the tent. Okay. In a split second, Anthony pulls a black knife from his backpack and stabs Austin once directly in the chest. Anthony flees the scene immediately, while Austin runs down the bleachers, clutching his chest, shouting for help. Despite athletic trainers and first responders performing CPR and administering blood right there on the field, Austin tragically passed away shortly after arriving at the hospital, and it was reported that he died in his twins' arms. Now, let's take a fast forward through how we got to the courtroom today, because the legal path has been chaotic. So the arrest, it says, Karmelo Anthony, he surrendered to authorities shortly after the stabbing. Before he is even officially questioned, he tells the arresting officer, I was protecting myself. He asked if Metcalf is going to survive and if it can be considered self-defense. He was charged as an adult because in the state of Texas, when you are 17 and there is this type of crime, they charge the individual as an adult. So he was charged as an adult with first-degree murder, and his bond was set at $1 million. Now, that's where a judge by the name of, what was her name again? Hold on. Anyways, a judge presiding over the case, which was a black woman, she decided to reduce his bond, being that he did not have any priors as far as like a prior record. He was in school. I believe that he was like on the honor roll. He was allegedly, according to what was put out there, a good kid. And so the judge decided to reduce his bond to $250,000. Now, once she reduced his bond, there was a lot of backlash. Okay, there was a lot of backlash. Judge Angela Tucker had to completely call out all of these things. Let me pull up an article that talks about how she was doxxed, how people threatened her, they gave her death threats, and so on and so forth. Now, as you guys know, whenever there is a judge that considers bond and what's appropriate, they always go off of the prior history and prior bad acts. If that individual does not have a bunch of prior bad acts, they have all of these things like they do, like this balancing scale. They determine whether or not this person is a danger to society. They weigh the evidence. They look at the case. And this judge decided that he was not a danger to society, and he was allowed to get a $250,000 bond. Now, once he got this bond, like I said, people started to dox her. Hold on one second. I had the link up, but where did it go? Okay, hold on. Let's just pull it up again. Angela, get let's see, what is this?
North Texas is home. That's why doing this work.
All right, one second. Let's see if this video explains it. If not, I'll read what it says.
The attempted doxing of a Collin County judge.
All right, let me share this for you guys so that you guys can get a background of what is going on in this case and the lengths that people will go. If you would dox a judge, what would you do?
She's overseeing the trial of a teenager accused of killing another student in Frisco. Jobin Paniker talks to a former judge about the security issues judges face.
When private information goes public, it is a problem. In this case, a judge's private information. Add to that a case that has made national headlines after a Frisco student allegedly stabs and kills another at a track meet. Collin County told us earlier this month about a possible case of doxing involving the judge, Angela Tucker, who lowered the defendant Karmelo Anthony's bond, allowing him to bond out and go into house arrest.
The fact that she and her family are being made to endure what they are as a result of being doxxed because she simply did her job as she was supposed to, it sickens me. And it angers me.
Scott Becker was once a judge in Collin County for 8 years in the 219th. Now he's an attorney, and he tells us what we've been reporting for a while, that cases are assigned to judges by random.
I wonder if the controversy is because Judge Tucker is an African-American and the defendant is also African-American. I wonder if the judge who made that decision, if they looked like me, if there would be the same amount of outrage and conspiracy theories out there.
Scott is also familiar with being the subject of threats, but admits nothing like what Judge Tucker may be experiencing. He says there are certain protections judges have. They can use state official license plates over personal ones.
On your driver's license, judges are allowed by law to list the courthouse as their home address. I did not want anybody being able to know anything more about my personal life.
Scott even had Google blur his home and kept his address private. He says the job comes with security risks, and that job is too important to be swayed by intimidation.
What would you do?
All right. So as you can see, there was people who went as far as to dox the judge. Now, this is a person who is in charge of the balancing act, and they were so brazen that they doxed her information. They sent her death threats, and there was a lot about this that was very unsettling to me and to a lot of people who was viewing what was going on. Now, it's stated also that amidst all the outside political groups trying to use this tragedy to fuel a race war, Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff Metcalf, stands up and completely condemns the outside agitators. All right. So it says, all right. So, let me go back up to this. Okay. So it says, all right. So he bonded out under a strict house arrest with an ankle monitor and a total ban on social media. So he was totally banned. He cannot say a thing on social media. He can't defend himself. He can't say anything. Total ban, no social media. So it says this move sparks absolute fury online and on the ground. The case becomes deeply polarized along racial lines. Anthony is Black, Metcalf is white. Crowdfunding campaigns raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for both sides. Okay. The backlash gets so intense that the judge, when she was doxxed, Anthony's family received also severe death threats, and the court eventually has to approve moving Anthony to an undisclosed location for his own safety. Amidst all the outside political groups trying to use this tragedy to fuel a race war, Austin Metcalf's father, Jeff Metcalf, he wanted to condemn the outside agitators and saying that he doesn't condone anyone trying to create a racial divide, which is ironic, being that the main person who is saying that they are a spokesperson and they are like speaking on behalf of the family is the main person creating this racial divide and trying to make things as political, as racial, as deplorable as possible, even skewing the events that happened today, so that's ironic. I don't know if he was genuine or performative, but hey, that's what it is. So before we get into the self-defense and first degree murder and all of those things, I'm going to take a pause and just let you guys know about my journey to covering this case and coming to cover the trial. Now, what I saw online before I came to Texas was a lot of people who wanted to have one voice, only one narrative, and the narrative did not seem balanced. It did not seem fair, and it did not seem fact-based. It seemed to be based on rage baiting, racial division, and it seemed based on everything else other than the facts of the case. Being that I'm a person who has covered several trials, from the Tory Lanez trial to the T.I. and Tiny OMG Dolls trial to the Diddy trial to the ASAP Rocky trial, I have had all of the major publications cover my reporting from each trial that I have covered. I have landed in, documentaries for my coverage in the R. Kelly case. I landed in documentaries on my coverage of the Carbonation cult case. And I think that me being on CNN at the Diddy trial, along with all of the other accolades that I have received from covering trials, proves that, hey, we're going to stick to the facts over here. So if you want to go where, people are going to just be making up stuff, trying to make themselves be, a particular way because they have an agenda for them crowdfunding funds, then, hey, there's a place and a home for that on this case. But, over here, I want to come and speak what I actually see. But being that I saw that there was so much of intimidation, people trying to silence people, them doxing the judge, I wanted to make sure that I was safe as far as, making sure that I had people there with me at the trial, like as the trial commences. And this was the first time that I, took extra measures to make sure, you know what I'm saying, I was good. I'll just say that. Yeah, so even my coverage on this, you can see the comments, like without even looking at the profile and seeing the race of the person, you can kind of discern what race they are by what they say, because the tone and the vitriol is different. Like there's some people who are Black who feel as though, he should have never had a knife at the fight at the track meet, and he should have never stabbed Austin, and they feel like he's guilty. But when you see those people expressing their feelings about it or saying, hey, I think he's guilty and here's why, the tone is completely different from those who are like falling into this racial trap of, put them back in the cotton fields type of energy. You can tell the difference. And without me even looking at the profile picture, sometimes I'll just like scan the comment and I can already tell, like, all right, we already see what this is given. We already see what like this is, but let's take a step back from even that, because like I said, it was a journey to even cover this. And shout out to my background. Y'all like my background? I had to bring it to this right here is an orange couch. Okay. We had to come with the orange couch realness. If you know, this is my early beginnings. When I was on YouTube, I would sit on or in front of an orange couch with my green screen in back of me. I would do my commentary, but I decided to bring the feel of the orange couch back, bring my new updated background, and get to business. Okay, we are here on business. All right, period. And if you guys have
Police are investigating the attempted doxing of a Collin County judge.
No, it didn't just auto play. Like, where we do that at? Where we do that at? Like, what? Hold on. We're not just auto playing like that. Like, you don't get to do that. But anyways, all right. So, anyways, yeah. So we're here on business. Before I forget, before I forget, because I go on tangents, okay? And let me get her name. Let me get her name correct, because we're gonna get into some things, okay? We're gonna get into some things. We are gonna get into some things. Okay, Shaquila. Okay, this is sweet Miss Keela. Okay, Shaquila. Thank you so much for my goodie bag. Let me tell y'all real quick. Sorry. I'm getting sidetracked. But I just glanced down and I saw my goodie bag and I forgot to speak about Miss Keela. Ooh, I think did something spill? Anyways, so a night out, she saw that I was in Texas and she came to the courthouse to give me a goodie bag, y'all. This is so nice, so sweet, so thoughtful. So I was walking out of the courthouse and I think I had just finished like doing like a quick live recap, and this girl was coming from like the parking lot. She's like, Nique, you know. And she came, she introduced herself. She said she was a night owl. She watched my channel and she was like, oh, I want to give you a gift bag. She said that she has like a wellness group or something like that. And so she had brought me some things. So this, I'm going to just pull out some of the stuff that she said she compiled some goodies from her wellness group, I think it was. But okay, so she said, okay, so this is a daily prebiotic fiber or something. I don't know what it is, but we gonna look through it. We gonna look through it right here. This is a candle. Oh, this is what I smell. This smells good. Ooh, hold on. I think it kind of melted, y'all. It was in the heat. Oh my goodness. It melted. Ooh, it was in the heat. It was in the car. It was hot. It smells so fire. Okay, so this right here, she gave me a candle. This candle smells good. It is Lovely Candle and Co. All right, and then what is this? Oop. A sleep shot. So this is it says Dream Water Sleep Shot. It's all kind of stuff in here. So we just look at stuff really quick. This is a mental performance shot. It's green, so it's not showing, but mental performance. It's a lot of these in here. And then what is this? Skin conditioner. Energy and focus gum. So this is stuff from her wellness center. All right. So I just wanted to show that. Thank you so much for the goodie bag. She said she wasn't attending the trial, but she wanted to drop that off. So that was nice and thoughtful of her. So back to business. All right. So it was a journey getting here. Okay. It was a journey getting here. And speaking of, somebody said it's expensive covering cases, boots on the ground. It absolutely is. Okay. And if you guys want to donate, y'all know y'all can. I have a new Cash App. It is Nique at Night Media. All right. Because everything that we do is 100% out of my pocket. Okay. Hotel, flight, rental car, food, all of that. I mean, you know, if you want to support, you can. If not, then you can support by hitting the like button. We appreciate that as well. We need to get back in the algorithm. It's been like a month, I want to say, without me covering anything. So I'm out of the algorithm and we're going to get back to it. So anyways, okay. So let me give y'all a breakdown on how I even came to covering this, and like how your girl was like, you know what? I don't know if I'm gonna go this, that. So back during the Diddy trial, I was like, I think my next case that I'm going to cover is the Karmelo Anthony case. Now, I never told y'all because I did not want to announce the next case that I was covering. I started to feel like certain people were only covering cases because they thought certain people would be there. And it made stuff less about like covering cases and more about something else. So I wanted to cover a case that I did not announce on my channel, that I did not tell anybody about, that I just went and just popped up boots on the ground. So I started my thinking about wanting to cover this case all the way since last year. And I followed through with it. I want to say starting in April, I saw that I'm like, listen, I want to cover it. And anytime you want to cover a case, you want to see if you are media, what their protocols are and stuff like that. So I reached out to the public information officer, and the first public information officer was a guy by the name of Derek. And he was like, hey, if you're media, then oh, Mary Beth, is Nique at Night Media, not Nique at Night, Nique at Night Media. All right, so he said that we can fill out an intake form to see if we would be picked for media. Okay, so the judge basically he did like a very, very strict gag order, right? So in a very, very strict like court order. So he put in place that there would only be 9 media seats of people being guaranteed media. Anything outside of the 9, everybody else is going to be public. And so they extended it to everybody, and they told us to fill out this intake form so that we can see if we are approved. Obviously, it's not going to be a guarantee based on the high profile nature and so many people wanting to be a part of it. So I'm like, okay, let me get my credentials together. Let me send over, my CNN bid. Let me send over me being in the documentary here and there, and me my articles and links and all of these things. I'm compiling my whole little resume so that I could submit it, so that I could be media. And so I like one day I'm just sitting there like just trying to, put all my stuff together. I'm like, dang, I forgot I did this. I forgot I did that. I'm like, dang, yeah, I was in, Surviving R. Kelly documentary. I was in oh, TMZ did have my interviewing. I was cited on so I'm like refreshing my memory on all the news articles that done cited me, Rolling Stone, CNN, BT, I'm pulling up all the stuff. So I compile my list of credentials, I send it over, and I put, the application. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. It's like, I want to say like 3 weeks go by, maybe or so. And now we're into like May. Like I want to say, yeah, we're into May. And I reach out and I say, hey, I want to know, like, when would we hear back on whether we are picked to be like the media? Because when you on that first come, first serve public grind, that could be hectic. Like if you got a guaranteed seat, you don't really have to be in the hustle and bustle of like trying to fight for the line, trying to make sure that nobody cut in front of you. And then, that creates a whole thing in itself. I didn't want that. I just wanted to have a guaranteed seat if I could and, cover it like that. So I reach out and I randomly like wrote the guy and I'm like, hey, I was trying to see if when can we know if we've been selected? So he reaches out, and I guess the day that I wrote was the same day that they had all of the TV stations in Dallas come to the court, and they had special access to the court. Now, mind you, everybody who had submitted, we didn't hear nothing about this special court showing or anything like that. So he writes me back and he's like, despite local media being, and I'm just paraphrasing, I would have to read the email to know, like, to verbatim, but it was something along the lines of, despite the TV stations being there today, they were let in by the bailiff. Nobody has been selected for the jury. I mean, not for the jury. Nobody has been selected for media. The only people that was there today was legacy media and TV stations, blah, blah, blah. But nobody has been selected. So me, I'm like, so people who may not be selected or not officially selected for media, they just so happen to get a personal invite to the courtroom so that they can take B-roll and take camera footage of the courtroom, because the actual trial is not going to be streamed, but they allowed like the TV stations to come in to kind of film and take pictures so that when they do their broadcast, they can show people like what the courtroom looks like so that people can get a feel of the courtroom when they're talking about it, when even though they're not there. So I was like, you invite all of the TV stations to come, and they're all coming to get B-roll, but they're not selected. Really, 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 I don't know. So anyways, so the guy was like, oh, well, we won't know to the end of May, blah, 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 blah. People are still submitting their credentials, da, 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 da. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So weeks go by, and then I get an email that says, hey, media has been selected, and we decided to go with only legacy media. And I'm like, if y'all was gonna go with legacy media in the first place, like, y'all knew that in the first place. Like, y'all knew that when y'all had only legacy media come, and y'all didn't tell nobody else about this special invite. Like, so right then and there, I felt like they played in our face, because I felt like, why, if y'all gonna give it to legacy media, like, why have us thinking that we even had a possibility? You know what I mean? Because in California, whether it's legacy media or not, like, if there is, like, let's say there's 10 media seats, they're not gonna just give every single seat to legacy media. They will mix it up. Like, they'll have some people legacy media, some people independent, some people, you know what I mean? Like, it'll be like a mixture. So I was thinking that it would be something like that, but no, they put, like, it was like 5 TV stations, the Daily Mail, the Associated Press, like stuff like that. Like, that's kind of who they picked as media to be approved. So it said anybody else that's not media would just be public, first come, first serve. And then there was like this note that said the people, and only the approved media can have their laptop. So I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm not approved media, but you know, I've seen cases where they still let people like have certain permissions if the judge okayed it. So I'm like, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, you know? So I said, hey, you know, I understand that I'm not selected for approved media, but is there a way for me to submit to have approval to, you know, use my laptop? Like, I'll go in public, first come, first serve, but you know, if I'm in there, if I can use my laptop, then that'd be great. So I get a response back that only approved media can take notes. So I'm like, well, yeah, like, okay. I'm like, all right, well, I understand. All right, so basically no to the laptops. That's what I'm thinking. Like, okay, well, no to the laptops. Like, I'm not gonna be able to bring my laptop. And I said, but I'll just bring my pen and paper. It was something along. I would have to read the email exactly, but it was something along the lines of like, oh, okay, well, yeah. So I understand, you know, that I can't take my laptop, but you know, like, are you saying pen and paper? You can't use pen and paper? And then so he writes me back, and he's like, only approved media can take notes. And so I'm like, so is he saying no pen? Like, I can't use a pen? You know? I'm like, he's telling me I can't use a pen. I'm like, that's crazy. So I wrote the court and I'm like, hey, like, am I not allowed to use a pen and a paper to even like, even if I go into the like first come, first serve, I'm not able to use a paper and a pen? So the court didn't respond to me. The same guy responded and he was like, I already, like, it was like, you know, I'm just paraphrasing, but it was like, I already told her no. So I'm like, oh my God. A trial where you cover it and you can't use pen and paper. Now, mind you, by the time I found out that, I had already booked my hotel, I had already you know, paid for my flight. I had already like scheduled my rental car. Like, I'm already like money in. So I'm devastated at this point because I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know if it's worth it. Like, I'm like, they put in, you know, this, they're putting like these strict rules and the tone is just coming off a particular way, blah, 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 blah. And then so I had talked to a couple people and I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I don't, you know, I never announced it to my audience that I'm gonna cover it. So I'm like, I'm glad that I didn't announce it because, you know, how can I cover a trial and not be able to write on a pen and paper, right? So I'm over here stressing out because hotels booked, rental car, flight, everything, like literally we're a week away from the trial. And then, you know, I guess other people started, I don't know, I'm assuming other people started to complain as well. And then I get an email that they changed the rule. Now you can use a pen and paper. Okay. Like days before it was time to come here, I get another update that, you know, change of plans. You can now use a paper. So all is well. But it was a journey, like that whole process of, you know, waiting to see if I'm selected media or not media, you know, seeing like the rules and just like the tone of it all. And then looking at certain people covering it and they're like trying to cause a racial divide. They're trying to like amp things up and they're trying to make it like as racist as possible. I was getting nervous. You know, I was getting so nervous, but I had talked to Queen Sheba. I talked to a few people and it was like, girl, you know, like, let's just do our thing. Like, you know, let's just cover it and, you know, stick to the facts basically. And I'm like, okay, I talked to a couple of my friends. My friends was like, you need to just go, you know, do like you always do, stick to your reporting, blur out all of the outside noise, da 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 da. So that leads us to now. So all of the buildup and the tone of it, I was expecting to be completely uncomfortable. I thought that, you know, I was like, I don't know, this sounds like I'm going to some hick town. You know, I'm like, ooh, I feel like, you know, am I going to be racially profiled? Like, I was thinking like the worst, but I felt like because the tone was so loud, there's no way that I could not go to cover it because I felt like our voices gotta be there. So I went, and to my surprise, even though now looks can be deceiving, like somebody could look at me and say, oh, she's a Black woman, and then they'll go with Black woman stereotypes, you know, and they'll label me whatever, right? On the surface, when I got there and I'm looking at some of the sheriffs and I'm looking at, you know, them with their cowboy hats and, you know, just like their stature, and one had like an AR rifle on him strapped to his chest, and, you know, on the outside I'm like, ooh, these like, are these like rednecks? Or, you know, I didn't know. But to my surprise, looks were deceiving. Now I don't know how they're gonna act on the day that trial starts, but everybody was nice. Everybody was pleasant. It was not difficult going through the screening process. The bailiff was nice. He was, you know, trying to be as helpful as he could. He didn't know much. He was like playing it by the ear. He was like, hey, I'm in the blind. I don't know, you know, I don't know what y'all don't know. You know, like it was not like uncomfortable. You get what I'm saying? Like I have been to trials where it was not even this much racial tension, and bailiffs and security would just puff their chest out unnecessarily being mean. That wasn't the case today. Now, again, I can't speak for how things will go going forward, but the sheriffs were not mean. The bailiffs were not mean. I didn't have an unpleasant interaction with anybody. It just, you know, it was a lot of waiting. Oh my God, what happened? I don't know. Can y'all hear me? I had to unplug and plug it back. I had to unplug and plug it back. Can y'all hear me? Hopefully there's sound. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. But anyways, so from leading up to, you know, coming and like it was just like the tone, like I said, I was expecting to like be extremely uncomfortable. I was expecting just the complete opposite of what happened today. Now again, there's this particular person that is trying to make that be a thing. So it seemed like on their post they were trying to rally for, you know, rainless to come. So I don't know what's to come. I don't know if there is going to be a change in behavior going forward, but today I'm gonna speak the facts. I didn't have an unpleasant interaction with any of the sheriffs. They were not mean, you know, they were not unbearable. Like I said, there's certain times when you cover certain cases and it'll just be a bailiff that just on a power trip, and it's like, okay, that was unnecessary. Like, why are you doing that? You know what I mean? It wasn't given like puffing my chest out and just giving you a hard time just to be an asshole. It wasn't given that. So hopefully that continues. Hopefully it continues to not give that. And people can go and feel safe. I felt safe with all of the heavy presence of sheriff, because even though they were not mean, it did send a message that we're not going to take no BS. We're not here for no BS. They had their rifle, one had his rifle on his chest, and it was a lot of them. It was a whole lot of sheriffs there. So that was a plus, but I'm still going to make sure that I keep somebody with me, because you just never know. There is a lot of vitriol on the comments, even people writing me like that have never heard of my page before, but heard that, I was covering this case, and because of the tone, they carry that tone to anybody. And another thing too, it's being shaped that if you're Black, you're a Karmelo Anthony supporter. Some of us who are Black don't have enough facts to support or not support, but just understand the importance of having a fair and unbiased voice in the room. I'm not team anybody. I don't know enough facts to be team anything. All I know is what the police affidavit says, and based on the police affidavit, it sounds like it could be a self-defense claim, but I'm not there. I don't, I haven't heard any of the witnesses speak out. I haven't seen any of the footage. I don't know if there's a prior history with either one of them. There was allegations of bullying from the brothers. I don't know even if that's true. So I'm team finding out the facts and going off of that. If Carmelo Anthony was wrong, if he was, a troublemaker or whatever the case may be, if that is true, I will find out and I will report that. If there is evidence that is not true, I will report that. So I believe that it is important to have voices in the room that are going to tell you the facts, unbiased, that whether it's good or bad. That type of person is not team anybody. We're team making sure our stories are told correctly, whether they are in our favor or not in our favor, because there are other people who are trying to make a narrative for us that is not true. Okay. And I can tell you 100% that some of the things that is being reported that happened today did not happen. I was there. So it's like, child, people trying to get them gifts and up, them money's up. Okay. That's what they're doing. And it's working because they like to support, like, oh my God, look at this poor person is trying to get the truth out and the Black people are holding them back. Let's give them money. They like that narrative, and they know that narrative gets the top dollar. So they're going to do whatever they can to keep that narrative. And you got to caution a type of person that every single thing that they say is skewed 100% this way. The scales of justice does not go like this and like that, like on every case. There's nuances. If the person reporting never has any nuance, it's only lopsided like this every time, there's never like a positive or negative, or there's always only everything negative for Black people, consider your source. You know what I mean? Consider your source. So anyways, so let's get into where we stand today. So jury selection was today, it began today, and like I told you guys, security was at an all-time high. The entire trial is going to hinge on one single legal concept: self-defense versus first-degree murder. The prosecution is going to argue that Anthony escalated a simple teenage shoving match by pulling a deadly weapon out of his backpack and using lethal force on an unarmed student because he bought a knife to a fist fight. They're pushing for a first-degree murder conviction, which carries a maximum of life in prison. And because Carmelo was 17 at the time of the crime, the death penalty and life without parole are legally off the table. The defense is going to double down on Texas self-defense laws. They will argue that Anthony was outnumbered, he was cornered under a tent by multiple people, and reasonably he feared for his safety after being physically assaulted and pushed on the bleachers. It's a heartbreaking case of a high school dispute turning fatal in a matter of seconds. All right. So it's very sad. And I'm going to be tracking this daily, and I'm going to be coming out of court, giving you guys the up-to-date, up-to-the-minute information as I get them. Now, for me, I think I might do, and this is just for you guys to kind of get a feel, like when I get there in the morning, we got to get there early. So I may do a stream in the morning if I can. We can't bring our phones in. We can't bring any electronic devices or anything like that. So when I'm inside the court, I won't have a phone. I won't have anything like that. So I might, while I'm waiting before we go in the court, I may do a quick live. I'm not sure. But being that it is blazing hot in Texas. Now, when I checked the forecast before I came out here, it said that it was possibly going to rain this week. So I was thinking, okay, well, maybe it will rain and maybe it won't be so hot, but it's scorching. So what I think, unless there is like a lot going on outside and I need to show you guys, the climate, or like if there's protests or if there's like a crazy atmosphere that I need to document and go live, I'll go live at the courthouse. But for most of my lives, I don't plan on going live right outside the courthouse. I want to be able to come. I want to be able to come to my living quarters, set up shop, get comfortable, pull out my notes, and speak. And speaking of my notes, let's get into day one of jury selection. So day one, let's go over it since I briefly went over it, but want to go over it a little bit more with y'all in detail. So in the morning when I did a live, I talked to you guys about how there was not a lot going on at the court. There was a lot of us sitting around. There was a bunch of jurors that came, and 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Okay. All right. So in the morning, I told you guys that there wasn't a lot going on. We had went there, and the monitors in the morning time were not on. There was a sea of jurors that were coming and going. They were giving them some type of packet. Well, hold on, where? Sorry, y'all. Whenever I'm out of state and my phone ring, I got a daughter, I got a kid, so I have to make sure that it's not emergency. It's not an emergency, so we can continue. But anyways, so all right. So in the morning time, we went inside the courtroom, and let me explain to y'all this as well, because I've seen a narrative that was created today to what is going on? Like what? Hello, is it emergency? Oh. Like, what? Hello? I'm sorry, y'all. Like, what is going on? Like, anyways. Um, all right, so let me get back. Sorry, y'all. All right, so let me tell you guys how today went, the actual truth of how today went, and hopefully, anyways, all right. So let me tell y'all how today went. So, all right. So we got the notification that, obviously only legacy media gets a guaranteed spot. So anytime we got an email from the public information officer, we always got the alert that it's first come, first serve. So the order in which a person comes is very important because the first person there is that order is based on who gets to get in the court or not. Now, being that they have 9 or 10 seats already designated to the media, that takes out a full row. Then you have a row that's going to go to the family in the court. You have a row for the victim's family. The DAs normally have like students and clerks and stuff like that comes in to watch trials. They take up a role. The prosecution, they have people that they can give seats, and the defense also has people that they can give seats as well. That eats up a lot of the courtroom, okay? So it is very important that if you come first and you're in the front of the line and you come on a first come, first serve basis, that when you enter into a courtroom, you are entering in the order in which you came. So today, when we get there super early, and there's a line of us outside. We get inside and we kind of sit along instead of waiting, because we got there very early, and then by the time we got into where we can like see or try to see like jury selection or into the courtroom was going to be like 3 or so hours. So what we did was we sat on a bench in the order that we were lined up outside, right? So after, I want to say we all get inside the courtroom. It's about 7 a.m. They open the courtroom. So immediately they open the courtroom at 7 a.m. All of us go in. 7 a.m. is when the courtroom opens. 7 a.m. is when we stop being out of the line. 7 a.m. is when everybody lined up inside on the bench. Okay. So as we're sitting inside, all lined up in the manner in which that we were lined up outside, in comes this particular person that rage baits and skews facts. They come in and they come inside the courtroom. Now, after we have been sitting there for, I want to say like 2 hours waiting until it was time to go into the courtroom, that particular individual went up to a bailiff and said, "Hey, can I line up right now?" And when that particular individual said, "Hey, can you they line up?" And the bailiff said that it was time to line up, what everybody did was they stood in line in front of that individual in the order in which they came, first come, first serve. That individual tried to frame it as if everybody mobbed, like Karmelo Anthony supporters mobbed them, and like tried to spin a narrative like it's a lynch mob out for them. That's not what happened. There was an order, and there was a group that was in the courtroom before they walked in the courtroom. So why would you walk to the front of the line when you weren't here first? That's what happened. Okay. So again, there's a lot of facts that get skewed and said a particular type of way. Oh, I walked up and all of these people like tried to mob. Like, no, all of these people were there before you got there, way before the time that you say you got there, and lined up and on the bench and waiting for our time to go in line. And when it was time to line up, they lined up. Simple as that. So once we line up and we get in line to go inside, we go inside. They tell us we can sit anywhere because this was not the regular courtroom. The courtroom that we were in today was specifically an overflow room so that we can be able to see the judge or hear the audio of the jury selection. So we go in, and for the first half of the day, we hear nothing. There's nothing on the screen. We don't hear anything. Around 12 o'clock, we get movement. So at 12, the bailiff is like, oh, they turned on the screen. We see the judge. We hear the audio. So we rush back in. The particular person who had created certain narratives, they had left at that time. So they didn't see the judge speak. They didn't see the cameras turn on. They got their narrative, spent it whatever way, and got on. Those of us who were there to actually hear the facts and hear from the judge, we were there. We went inside and we listened to him, basically address the jury. Now, it was 600 people who came out to be pulled to see if they can be on the jury or not. And when we finally went in, they were saying that it was a 600 jury pool. The judge, on the screen, they had 3 monitors on. There was like a monitor up at the top, a monitor to the left, and then there was like a big projector all the way in the back of the courtroom. And we see the judge, we see his court reporter, and then we can see his bailiff, but we were not able to see any of the jurors. We got to see the judge and the bailiff, but we were able to see like jurors there. Like before they went into that room, we saw like a sea of jurors, like, going there, but we didn't see them on the screen when we went into the room, if that makes sense. All right. So anyways, so 12 o'clock, we go into the room. The judge, he goes up and he starts to address the and are you guys still here? I don't know if my comments are frozen. Are y'all still here? Am I still live? Hold on before I go any further. Type of 1 if you guys are still here and listening. Can y'all still hear me? I'll make sure y'all still here. And if you guys are enjoying the coverage, y'all know that y'all always can support by hitting the like button for free. If you guys want to tip the travel fund, Nique at Nite Media is the new Cash App. But whether y'all donate through the Cash App or not, we still gonna stick to the facts. We're not motivated by Cash Apps to skew a narrative. We just won't support if you want to support, okay? But hit the Cash App if you'd like. Now, so the judge comes out, and when he comes out, he says, hey guys, I got good news and I got bad news. All right. So he asked them what they wanted to hear first. He's like, hey, do you want the bad news first or do you want the good news first? So he said, the bad news is you have to listen to me. And then he said, the good news is that I'm not going to have you guys here all day. So he started to kind of make like jokes, like banter with the jurors. And so he tells them like, the importance of a jury system in the United States. So he asked the question and he says, why do we have a jury system in the United States? So after he said that, certain jurors started to answer. Now, again, we couldn't see which juror was answering, but one juror said, the reason why we have a jury system in the United States is because a right to a fair trial. Then another juror blurted out, and they said, so that we can be able to be judged by our peers. So the judge said that the importance of a jury is to basically limit the power of government. So he went on and to basically give a speech about how the jury is the power. Like the jury has the power. He said, if he was like, a jury of my peers would be a bunch of lawyers, he said, but why do you think we have this jury system where we have people who have no knowledge of like court or law? And he was just basically gauging the jury's knowledge of the importance of jury duty and why their duty is important. And so he kept going through like a list of different analogies on why jury duty is important and why they should take it serious. So he said that the purpose of a jury was so that you can eliminate kings, eliminate dictatorships, eliminate people who are, using political power, and take out as much politics as they can and give the power to the people. He then went on to say, why would we let people make decisions that have no experience? And one of the people said, he said the jury system helps place limits on the jury. Okay. So then he went on a speech to talk about how the jury is so important in Texas that you can get a jury trial for anything. So he said, if you have a custody case and you don't like the outcome from the judge, and the judge says, hey, and I'm paraphrasing, by the way, I jot down paraphrasing of what he's talking about. So anyways, so in so many words, he said, in Texas, you can have a custody case to where you don't like the outcome of what the judge says. You could get a jury trial for that. So then he says, then you could have it where there's like a civil issue and you could get a jury trial for that. And then he went through different things like a criminal trial, you get a jury trial for that. A civil trial, you want to sue somebody, you could get a jury trial for that. And then he said in Texas that we believe in the jury system. And then he goes on to say that he apologized for how long it was taking. He started to make jokes again with the jury and say, like, I know you guys are upset that you guys have been here for so long and you guys have been waiting, et cetera, et cetera. And he tells them that, there's certain people who have they're sick, or they're taking care of the elderly, or they're over the age of 75, or, they have these different exemptions. So the morning was the court dealing with all of the people who had exemptions, and they had travel that they already had, or they couldn't get off of work, or certain things. Like the morning portion of it was them eliminating all of those exemptions. So then he said, now you guys are basically what we have left, and then so he started to say, how to make it a fair, how do we make it a fair jury system? And he started to ask them, what do they think a fair jury consists of? And so then there was more people who started to answer, and they said, they believe that a fair jury system is a jury of their peers, et cetera, et cetera. And then he said, he likes to think of it this way. He said, if I get in trouble, would I want myself to judge my life? Like he told him to think, would I want me to judge me if I was basically, in so many words, if the shoe was on the other foot, what would I want as an individual, And then he said that jurors need to be fair and impartial and without bias. He said that the jury should not have bias or prejudice. He says that their job is to listen to the facts, listen to the facts of the case and not be biased, not be prejudiced, and just stick to the facts. And he said that his job as a judge was just to call the balls and strikes. He says, my job is to call the balls and strikes. And then he went into a big thing about social media. He talked about how there was a lot of misinformation on social media. He talked about there was a lot of like rumors and gossip, and he emphasized how he does not want them looking up anything on social media. He basically, in so many words, was saying that most of the stuff on social media is BS. Like, he didn't say it in those words, but he was basically saying, don't look like, it's normal judge speak to say not to look up social media, but he put emphasis like in so many words, like what you see is gonna be bullshit anyways. He didn't say that, but he said that. But he didn't say that, but he said that. You know what I mean? You get my drift? Like, he didn't say that, but the tone gave that. And again, most judges give the order that you can't look at social media, but it was the way that he said it, like, you know, like it's a bunch of drama, gossip, rumors, misinformation, you know, do not. And then he put like, you know, emphasis on it. And then he started to give a story about his mom. So he used his mom as an example, and he said, you know, I'll give you guys a story. So one day, he said one day he got a call from his mom, and his mom called him, and she was like, hey, you put such and such in jail. And he was like, no, I didn't put such and such in jail. And then his mom was like, yeah, you did. I seen it on Google. Like, I Googled it and I looked it up. And then he was like, Mom, like, if anybody knows about putting somebody in jail, it would be me. And then so he used that as an example that his mom got misinformation online, even about him putting somebody in jail, and it wasn't true, and how important it was to not use social media, not go on the case, not look up any facts about the case, and how you know, how important it was that their lives, like somebody's life is on the line depending on them. Like, what did he say? Somebody's life depends on it, or something like, he said something like their life, the person's life depends on you, basically, to like get this thing right. He didn't say that, but you get what I'm saying. All right, so he said that if they can't follow the rules and follow the law, like if they can't follow, like, so basically then he started to say, like, it can't be a situation to where there is the law that says this falls under this law, and then you decide yourself, like, oh, well, I don't want to follow the law. I don't think that, I want to do my own thing. He expressed that, if you can't follow the law, then you need to do the honorable thing and recuse yourself. And he said that the rumors, gossip on social media is not evidence. And then one of the jurors, when he was talking about this, they brought up juror nullification. So a juror brought up juror notification, and he said, if you want to do that, take that somewhere else, like Venezuela. Because I think somebody mentioned, like, oh, well, what about juror notification or something like that? And then he like made a joke like, oh, if you want to do that juror notification, take that somewhere else, like Venezuela. And then he started to mention how he served in the military. And then after that, another juror wanted to speak up, and they wanted to address his characterization of juror nullification. Because he was basically saying, like, we don't do that juror nullification stuff. Like, like that was kind of like his tone. Like, we follow the law, we come to a conclusion. If you can't come to a conclusion, good or bad, or, guilty, not guilty, then take that somewhere else. One of the jurors was like, Your Honor, can I address your characterization of juror nullification? And they kind of like said that there was some case where the law was so extreme that it didn't apply, like that it wasn't fair in some state. And they were saying how juror notification is warranted sometimes. Let me look up the definition of juror notification. I see somebody in the comments asking what it is. Basically, it's where the jury can not listen to the rules and just hold on. All right, so nullification is the act of making something legally void or canceling its effect. In U.S., it generally refers to a state's refusal to enforce federal law it deems unconstitutional. So common usage is jury notification, and it occurs when a jury acquits a defendant they believe is guilty because they disagree with the law itself. So the jurors feel like, okay, well, I don't agree with this law. Like they may have did something bad, but I don't agree with this law that y'all are saying that it applies under. So we're gonna like acquit them, basically. That's kind of what was brought up today. All right. Oh, and then another juror said they asked the judge, they said, how do you deal with unconscious bias? So as you guys know, we all have some type of unconscious bias, right? Based on the way we grew up, our life experiences, how we, view the world. You could be a person, let's say Lil Wayne, for example, right? Lil Wayne, when he was young, he got saved by a cop, right? So he had a good, like his life is attributed by a good experience with a cop. So therefore, in his view, all cops are good, or he leans more towards cops being good, There could be a different person who has a lived experience where all his life he was profiled by the cops. So he has a negative experience with cops and his view is bad. So an unconscious bias would mean if there is a Lil Wayne of the world, before like really digesting the facts, they automatically attribute that because they had a good experience with a cop, that everybody's experience would, align there. And the other way, like this person always had a negative experience with cops. So his bias of cops being, racial profilers, they're going to always have that bias because of their lived experience. So unconscious bias just means like biases that we naturally have based on our lived experiences. Like if you grow up, in like a Catholic home or a religious home, you might have a bias towards certain religions. Like, Christians have a bias towards, how they perceive all Muslims to be, or, y'all get what I mean. So anyway, so they asked like, how do you deal with unconscious bias? And the judge basically said that the jury instructions is going to like weed out that because they need to follow the law. Like instead of them listening to their biases, like they need to follow what the law says. And when it's time for them to get the case, the judge is going to read jury instructions, and that is what they need to follow. That's basically what he answered and said. So then after that, it was time for a break. And before he told them that he would give them a break, he stressed that it is extremely important to not look up the facts of the case, do not talk to anybody about the case. And he threatened that, he said, I am not jacking around. And he said, if I find out that you violate the rules, I can hold you in contempt of court up to 6 months in jail. And, he got real serious. Like he went from playful banter and, you know, having like this like jokes that he was like passing off and, you know, doing to like, he's like, okay, I'm gonna let you guys go on a break. And then he got real serious. It was like a switch. I was like, oh, wait, whoa. Like they getting threatened now. Like, what happened? Like, what happened? Like, what, like, where'd that come from? You know, but he got really serious before he let them out to let them know that they better not look up the facts of the case. They better not speak about the facts of the case. He said, when you walk out of this building, if there is anybody that even tries to approach you, talk to you, you keep walking and you get in your car and you drive off. And then he was like, don't run them over, but you drive off, you know. And so he was just letting them know that, you know, don't get it fucked up. Like, I done told y'all some jokes, but let's get for real here, you know. Let's understand that y'all here to do a service. Your service is important. Your service is needed. And it is important that you don't try to, you know, look up anything to try to get any information. And I'm not, his word, jacking around if you do. So that was pretty much the day. We wrapped about, I think it was like 2:00. I think it was around 2. So the end of the court ended around 2. So he gave them instructions that court was going to resume on Wednesday, and he gave an estimate on how long he anticipates the trial to be. He expects this trial to end by June 12th, but that is not including however long the jurors take to deliberate. So if the jurors take a week to deliberate, that's out of his hands. He just anticipates to get through the evidence portion of it by June 12th. And then they're going to have, you know, however long they need for jury selection. But he is very steadfast and gonna get through this case, so much so that he is not gonna have court tomorrow. But guess what? No days are gonna be lost, baby, because court is gonna be on Saturday. Okay, it's Saturday, sticky icky. So court is gonna be on Saturday, and he said that he is going to run his court on a tight ship. It's gonna be 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. a day, okay, including Saturday. Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. They could have Sunday off, but they're going to get their tails right back there on Monday, okay? And they're going to expect to be there from 8:30 because they need to be there 30 minutes before it's time to start. And then trial is going to start at 9. And then they're going to stay till 6. And then they're going to have their butt there on Saturday as well. Because he plans on the trial going until June 12th. And he has a schedule. And I don't know if all the way up until June 12th, they're going to have the complete court blocked off. But today there was no other court operations. Like, they completely shut down the entire courthouse only for the Karmelo Anthony trial. So there was no other judges running any other courts. There was only his court running. That was it. There was no other court cases, no other court business happening. And only was the Karmelo Anthony trial. That's it. Now, again, I don't know if they're going to lock the court down every day. I think I heard the bailiff say that this is going to be for the first week like that, where they're locking it down for just the Karmelo Anthony trial. But don't quote me on that. Today, there was no other court business going on at all. Like, none. just Karmelo Anthony, and that's it. That's all. So we'll see how things go. I'm here to cover it. Again, I'm not in the algorithm, so you guys definitely have to hit the like button, hit the share button, let people know who are looking for coverage that I am going to be covering it. I am going to be giving you guys as much information as possible. I'm going to try to be prompt. The only problem, the only hard thing is clips. Okay? Now, that's where y'all come in. I got to get up early, and be there all day. And then come back and then deliver everything to y'all. So, if y'all can help me out by clipping the pieces, like if y'all help me with clips so that I can put them on my social media. Not for y'all to steal the clips and put them on y'all social media, but help me with some clips. Like, okay, this was a good part. Let's clip this and just make this its own video. Let's clip this, make this its own video. You know what I mean? Somebody help a sister out with clips. I need help with that. Like, help a sister out. I could use Opus clips, but sometimes the clips that they choose be kind of like, I don't know. It don't be given. But how is the sound? So I got a new travel mic. I don't know if this is even picking up good, or if when I do these to just stick to my Rode wireless mic. Y'all, she said chat on clip duty. Yes, help me out with the clips. Help a sister out. But yeah, so how is the sound? How is this mic? Let me know if I should keep this mic, swap it out. Tomorrow, there's no court. So if I need to replace the mic, I could order me a new one, or I could use my Rode wireless mic. But I was like, okay, let me buy this mic. Just so that I could travel. Cause at home, I got the Shure SM7B and it's heavy. And then I gotta plug it up to a cloud lifter and then the interface. And I didn't want to lug all that. Really? Okay. You said this sounds better than my mic, my other mic? Sure. It sounds better than my $400 mic. Child, let me find out. You said, thank you, Nique. Be careful down there. Yes, I'm definitely going to be careful down here. But I'm going to report what I see based on what I see. I'm not trying to get into it with nobody, fight nobody, none of that. We didn't come here for that. We're not doing none of that. But I'm not going to be silenced on what I see. And when I see, stuff that's a particular way that's not how I saw it, I'm just gonna tell the facts about what I see and how I saw it from my POV, and that's it. That's all. We come here to do a job, and that's what we're gonna do. Now, with that being said, believe it or not, it was a lot prepping for this. I tried to, I'm like, okay, I need a background, create my background. It was a lot to try to get this. I did it with AI, but it was a lot to get it right. It kept messing up. This was a whole process to even try to get it to how I wanted it to be, and then okay, so then I was like, okay, last time when I went to the Diddy trial, I had old business cards that was from when I used to sell clothes. I'm like, okay, I need to do new business cards. So then one day was dedicated to okay, let me do business cards. And then one day was dedicated to okay, let me try to, make my background. Well, it was a couple of days. This I was tweaking and playing around with this and all that. Then one day was, okay, let me get all my credentials together so that I can try to see if I could be media. Then one day I was just stressed out when he said that you can't use the pen and the paper. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Then, there was the days where I'm like, okay, which hotel is going to be the best hotel for me? Like, where can I, stay? Or do I do a hotel? Do I do an Airbnb? Like, what living arrangement for this trial? Like, what's the safest option? I'm like, oh my God, it's all this racial tension. Like, I'm like, okay, if I go to an Airbnb, there won't be like, security like that. Like, you're just going to be in like a house. And then if I go to a hotel, like, is there a secure floor? Or is it going to be a secure place? Like, I had to find out all of that logistical stuff and figure all of that out. It was a whole thing. Is there any confirmed information about this case yet? I keep seeing rumors online and none of it seems to be verified when I do my own research. I'm tired of the lies and racial bias. Hey, so there has only been the police report affidavit that has been released, and there has not been anything much else. So the opening statements, we're going to get to gauge what the prosecution intends to prove and what the defense intends to prove. And that's when we'll start to hear more facts. We haven't got the facts yet. Right now, it's only rumors. That's it. So I'm going to be keeping you guys up to date on what the facts are. Now, there's also legacy media in there, heavily 10 or so seats. It was supposed to be 9, but it looked like it was 10 back there today. If I was counting correct. But, maybe I wasn't counting right. I don't know. It looked like it was 10 of them back there. But so there's 10 dedicated legacy medias that's also going to be pushing out these more verifiable things as well. So the facts will come. Is just getting started. Tomorrow is a non-court day, so we won't be in court tomorrow. And so tomorrow I'm going to try to cover some of the topics that I haven't covered. I have to still do a recap on the Cult of Nature Boy. I finally watched it. So we got some opinions about that. We got to give our honest, okay? We got to give our honest review on that and go over all of those things. Nature Boy, he is posting from the jail walls and different people are speaking out. I know that I should have been did it, but child, May flew. My daughter's birthday was in May. It was just a lot. Like, May flew by so quick that, child, before I know it, the documentary done been released a month, but we still gonna get to it, okay? And if there's any other topics that you guys want me to cover, let me know, because we got time, baby. We got time to sit and really, like, get into all of the things Hey, Nique, how are you? So good to see you. Hope your baby girl is well and thriving. Yes, I'm well. She's well. I'm over here getting thicker than a snicker. I have been gaining weight instead of losing it. My plan was by the summer, I was going to be a skinny little cute and petite. It didn't happen that way. Child, I've been snacking. And this whole process was stressful. I'm like, I feel like I've been stress eating. I feel like I've been stress eating because I feel like I'm getting so big, but we're gonna get it together. We're gonna get it together. Okay. We are going to get it together. You said, what's the deets on the nail color? Oh, you like this nail color? I thought this looked old lady-ish. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I got my nails done. And I asked my daughter, I said, do this look old lady-ish? Is this old lady polish? My baby said this was old lady colors. She said this was old lady polish. Child, I don't know what color it is. I went to the nail shop and just picked the color. I don't, it's not my own color. But anyways, yes. You said Texas got good food. I ate at a good spot today. Ooh, that food was good. But if y'all got any recommendations, let me know. I'm not gonna tell y'all where I ate today because I'm planning on going there a lot more. So I'm gonna say it once I leave, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, I was eating there all the time. It's like it's not, I think it's more it's not really a red orange, it's orange, but the camera is making it, I don't know. You said it looked like the Real Housewife colors. Listen, I'm gonna keep it for about a week and then we gonna change. Because it is kind of giving like, it ain't really giving popping like that, So it's all right. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this broadcast. You said it go with the couch. Yes, we had to bring the orange back, baby. We had to bring it back to the orange couch. But hopefully you guys like this broadcast. If y'all can help me out with clips, definitely help me out. If y'all want to donate your girl some lunch, Nique at Night Media is the new Cash App. All right. And if you guys just want to support for free by hitting the like button and sharing the video, that is greatly appreciated as well. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Let me know if you want me to cover anything specific. Okay, let me know anything specific you want me to cover. I definitely will be you said you thought I was, I wasn't intentionally matching my nails with the couch, but I was feeling orange. Yeah, so let me know if there's anything specifically that y'all want me to cover, and I'll catch y'all on the next video. And yeah, we'll leave it there. All right, peace out.